Thank you for reminding me. So I'll start over and welcome everybody tonight to our April Park Advisory Board meeting. And I really appreciate all of you that have showed up in the room tonight. I was very lonely last month. So let's start out. I'm going to read my little blurb and then we'll all introduce ourselves. So thank you for participating in our monthly meeting of the Kitsap County Park Advisory Board. This meeting is being held both in person and remotely via Zoom. Before we begin, here are some guidelines and general instructions for the meeting. Please silence your other communication devices such as your cell or desk phone. This will ensure that we are not hearing any feedback or causing interruption during the meeting. Members of the public attending on Zoom, except for board members and county staff, will be placed on mute by the host. The chair will announce opportunities for public comment, which are included in the meeting agenda. Please adhere to the speaker time limit. For those of you on Zoom, if you would like to make a public comment, please click on the raised hand feature to signal that you would like to comment during the public comment period. You will be unmuted. Please announce your name before speaking. For those calling in using the phone line only who wish to comment, dial *9 on your keypad to signal that you would like to comment. Please announce your name before speaking. I am Dawn Doctor. I am from the South or District 2. Make sure I got that right. And I am the chair of the Park Advisory Board meeting. Let's start at the end with Jessica. Would you introduce yourself and tell us what district you represent?
I am Jessica Rice with South Kitsap District 2.
Tom Coleman, Central Kitsap District 3.
Larry Walker, South Kitsap District 2. District 2 rocks.
Linda Berry Maury, North Kitsap District 1.
Lisa, how about you? And then Jen.
Lisa Hurt, District, North Kitsap, District 1, 2, 1. Don't know.
Jen Skalbeck, also from North Kitsap.
All right. Thank you. Let's talk to our staff. Alex, could you introduce yourself?
Happy to. My name's Alex Wisniewski, Parks Director.
Okay. Thank you. We have great support here helping us. And I wanted to make sure I welcome Tom. This is your first meeting. You'll have fun. We have fun.
Go easy on me.
All right.
Trust us, Tom.
All right. I'm going to propose that we deal with the minutes from February, then the minutes from March, and then later in the agenda, we will be discussing something from last meeting where we were talking about how to record public comments. And I'm going to suggest that we talk about that later unless there is really strong objection from any of the board members. But I would just like to remind everybody that the purpose of our minutes are to record the actions of the board and that we as the board can choose however we want to encourage these minutes to be recorded. But before you answer me about a strong objection, I would like you to consider if the decision you would make to approve or disapprove the minute or add corrections to the minutes for February and March, would your decision regarding those change based on a decision we might make or may not make later regarding how to capture public comment in the future? So is there any strong objection for me just having the minutes approved? Linda?
I do think that how the comments are stated does matter, and it isn't just the board, because we have repeatedly have some people have come over and over and over again, said the same thing and also said, you know, you're not listening to me. And there has to be some kind, I think there needs to be a little bit of middle ground where you say it's magic, right? You know, where's that fine line? But you have to make it not so complicated for staff. But it does feel to me like those comments should be recorded. You know, maybe it's 2 sentences or
Right.
something like that, but they can't be recorded in detail.
So my question though is, would you like to have that discussion and make a decision before we vote on approval of February and March's minutes?
Because that's why the February minutes were delayed. So yes,
Okay,
that'd be my preference. I don't know. I know, Larry, that was your motion also to delay it, but I think that was the issue because you'd asked for those to be.
I think it was also for time to review them more critically.
Okay.
So,
And I agree with Linda. I think that we definitely need to discuss it.
and will a decision change what we do for our February, March minutes?
Possibly.
Larry?
My recommendation would be, okay, I want this entered into the minutes and everything that Lisa and I are actually agreeing 2 months in a row. But I think, yeah, instead of doing the February minutes now,
Okay,
let's we've got them on the agenda for later so we can have the more in-depth discussion and then we can make approval. We do have the March minutes here as an example of a possible way to revise. So
okay,
I think, yeah, it does bear
okay.
relevance.
So then let's go into our public comment and then we will come on and I guess Tom's been, and then we'll discuss our minutes and approve. Okay. So anybody in the room have public comment they would like to make? Is there anyone online? Steve?
Yep, Steve Ruggiero is here. Hey, good evening. How are you guys?
We're good.
All right, so yeah, I'm here to definitely provide public comment because public comment needs to be heard. So to help you guys make decisions. I'm a resident of the town of Port Gamble, and my wife and I, we're out on the trails there a minimum of 5 days a week. And, the purpose of me being here this evening is a follow-up to my comments from last month's meeting, because I really want to reinforce some key points. And these key points remain very observable during our trail use since that date. And, and my intent here is to give you real-time and factual observations on what is happening in this crown jewel of the North Kitsap Park system at the Port Gamble Trail System, not what one exclusionary group wants you to believe is actually going on out there. Got about 5 points here. Mountain bikers are not the dominant user group outside of the ride park, but I think they're gaining on dog walkers. I could rattle off at least 8 additional park uses from trail runners to truffle hounds that are encountered daily. Mountain bikers aren't harassing other user groups, in spite of what you are hearing from a certain group. Differing user interactions are almost universally polite, and they often end up with small talk. I regularly stop to get caught up with hikers, equestrians, dog walkers, gravel grinders, and more. These brief encounters lead to more connections across user groups. There are a lot of different trail users out there, and I've met people from all across the country, British Columbia, and Europe checking them out. I mean, it's a great park system. I can also tell you there have been many times where I have been shot dirty looks, vibed or yelled at, and asked things like, why don't you ride somewhere else when I'm on my bike? So have a lot of my riding friends. I find it telling these interactions are directed at mountain bikers, not coming from them. User groups vary in percentage based upon which trailhead they use. The new lot at Stottlemyre, not that new anymore, but it's still new, is great for equestrians, and I see more vehicles without racks there by far than with. The Ranger lot, due to its proximity to the ride park, is about 60% cars with bike racks, with plenty of other user groups parked there as well. The Butcher Baker lot, which we look at from our living room, is about 20% bike rack for park users. Trail maintenance, volunteer hours continue to pile up from the mountain bike community. We would like to be able to provide more outside of the ride park and the Ranger corridor if we were allowed to. It's the number one complaint the trail crews hear from park users, and it gives the incorrect impression that riders don't care about the other trails. They do. Here's a direct quote from Matthew Nelson, who's the executive director of the Arizona Trail Association, who says, "We are committed to building single track around the wilderness areas for mountain bikes." When asked why they are so committed to cycling, he says that mountain bikers have played an important role in development. I tell managers all the time, stop running your trails like country clubs. Mountain bikers are a great user group. They get engaged, they show up, and they do the work. And lastly, wildlife remains alive and well. Rumors of their demise are definitely exaggerated. The birds are enjoying an early burst of warm weather, and animal prints and sightings are numerous. No bear sightings yet, but we have seen many salamander crossings on the 1100 road coming in from Port Gamble. Thanks for your time, everyone, and I do appreciate your consideration. And the new parking lot is awesome, by the way. Much appreciated up there. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Are there any other? Okay, Beverly?
Thank you. I'm Beverly Parsons from Hansville. I've been out of town for about 2 weeks, and I returned on Tuesday to find out that on Monday evening the Board of County Commissioners approved a contract proposed by the Parks Department. It was for $112,000 to the Evergreen Mountain Bike Alliance for repairs to mountain bike trails at Port Gamble Forest Heritage Park, and those funds were from the park's capital fund. I have two questions I would appreciate having the Parks Advisory Board investigate and provide to the public some information in regard to the Park Department's choice about this contract. The first one is, of all the possible activities that could be funded by the Parks Capital Fund, why was this amount of money spent for this particular work? I'm interested in what analyses were done to show that this was the most important capital expenditure for our parks and our whole park system. And secondly, at an earlier meeting this year, I had requested that the Parks Department work to achieve a rebalance between human use and the protection and restoration of nature at Port Gamble Park. Perhaps the Park Department thought that they were protecting nature by spending this money to repair the ride, park, and ranger corridor. Personally, I can think of other ways that those areas of the park that had been damaged could be protected. So I would appreciate if the Parks Advisory Board would ask for an explanation of what other options for protection of nature were considered and why this particular one was chosen. Thank you.
Thank you, Beverly. And now we have Carol.
Good evening. My name is Carol Price. Because of the first statement or the first comment, I guess I'm going to throw out my prepared notes. So I'm speaking off the cuff, which is dangerous. The main user group of all our parks is the public. The public, not private user groups. So I'm not sure who Steve was referring to as exclusionary users. I'm a little confused. If he imagines that it's only one group that's unhappy with what's going on at Port Gamble, he would be mistaken. It's the public. It's the public. Yes, you have nice conversations with people. That may be, and that's good. We all need to sit down at the table with each other and talk over the issues that are going on in that park. And they involve much more than and the mountain biking community. They involve all of us, and we need to sit down and talk as a community. What do we want there? Do we want this park to be developed to the nines, which seems to be the plan, and certainly that is what's happening in the North End. So I urge parks to sit down with us, talk to us. It's all we ask. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol. Joe?
Good evening. Is my voice clear?
Yes, we can hear you, Joe.
Thank you. Joe Lubisher from Indianola. At the last meeting, Linda made a comment on critical area buffers at North Kitsap Heritage Park. The whole picture of critical areas and buffers, of regulations and restrictions, and of best available science is complicated. And tonight I just want to offer a few comments on the environmental planning, how it was applied at North Kitsap. Albeit the discussion has a much wider applicability. So in general, for critical areas, there are three types of standards that might apply. There are the regulatory laws, there's policies, and there's grant restrictions. Okay, so the regulations include the SEPA, the Growth Management Act, DNR rules for timber harvest, and the county's critical area ordinance, or the CAO, for development activities. A couple of the important policies, of course, are the PROS plan and the comp plan. And you'll find something in there like in the comp plan that says, don't kill beavers, right? And then there are various grant restrictions, particularly from the state RCO, the Recreation and Conservation Office. And in a given application for a proposed activity to park, one or more of those standards may apply. Okay, that's kind of context. Now you look at the buffers and wetlands, particularly in the history at North Kitsap. First, understand that the GMA and the CAO regulatory goal is to protect critical area ecosystems. That is the law. Second, best available science says that the buffers are necessary. But we also hear that the specified widths are only moderate in size. So we've got a situation where the regulatory buffers do not fully protect our critical area ecosystems. And third, note that the requirements in the DNR and CAO rules, those are only minimum requirements, okay? And fourth, in order to set wetland buffer widths using either of the DNR or CAO rules, one of the primary requirements is that the wetlands have to be rated, okay? Now at North Kitsap, the buffers were never rated. They were identified and delineated, but not rated. So there was never and is not a regulatory path to specify buffer widths at that park. Instead, the North Kitsap, in the North Kitsap Forest Stewardship Plan, the county forester from the Parks Department and the stewards sat down together, collaborated, and ended up with a fixed 200-foot buffer. That was not an unreasonable approach. Perfect? What is? You can judge. Type F fish-bearing streams now all require a 200-foot buffer. The CAO buffers for rated wetlands can range from 25 feet up to 300 feet. So does one conclude that some buffers will be too small and others too large in the park? Perhaps. But remember again that that range is of minimum widths, moderate in nature, and not fully protective of wildlife and habitat. Okay, that's the science. But do please highlight one fact. At North Kitsap Heritage Park, the planning did identify and delineate all the wetlands and provided stream and wetland buffers as part of the planning document with a goal of protecting the park's critical area ecosystems. Okay? Um, More later, perhaps. It's a very complicated subject and we'll need to delve into it deeper. So thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Are there any other? Don?
Hi, this is Don Willott. I wanted to comment on the new North Gateway construction. Had a chance to go up on Saturday, drove up, and was very impressed with the actual implementation of the really ecological restoration around the as part of the parking lot. I was especially appreciated that the signage refers to it as the North Gateway. Early verbiage around the parking lot described it as the mountain bike parking. And I think so much more appropriate to recognize all users in the choice of the name. This is, I believe, an opportunity now well started to by what you see as you drive, ride, or walk in, that you are entering a place, a special place in nature, as opposed to I think some of the early designs struck me more as what I call a Safeway parking lot. So a lot of asphalt in a rectangle and we're close to it. And instead, this feels like you're in an area where there are islands of standing fallen deadwood, as well as a variety of native plants. So my compliments to the park staff and consultants in making this the kind of gateway that we would like to have for all users of all abilities. That's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Don. Any others? Okay, that's our last comment. Linda?
I also wanted to weigh in because I went up to the new parking lot at the North Gateway today, and I am so glad that it is open and done and usable. And I also swung by the Stottlemyre parking lot and saw the new signage that kind of delineates the location for the two different user groups with the pull-through trailers. Really appreciated both those. I was going to follow up with an email because I had some concerns as a new, we've recently purchased a small trailer and I'm not very good at driving it. And, you know, one of the things that I was a little worried about going up to that North Gateway is that if you had a long trailer, how they could get in and out or potential blocking. So I thought I might kind of follow up with an email with some suggestions to think about because I do think it's a long road up if somebody gets stuck, but it's so great that that's open. So thanks to all the park staff and Public Works and everybody that made that happen. I also just wanted to make a very short response to what Joe Lubisher said is that was a comment I made in response to the volunteer written North Kitsap Heritage Park Stewardship Plan. And there are a lot of rules, but one of the fundamental rules, the big overriding one, is the Growth Management Act for the state. And under the Growth Management Act, you have to have your critical area ordinance for the whole county be consistent across the whole county. You can't have a special, more restrictive rules for one park here because somebody wants it. It's more restrictive, say, even in than development in Silverdale. And so at the time that was written, it was evaluated by the Department of Community Development staff, some of the county high-level people, and it was decided that it was inconsistent with the county code and it couldn't be adopted. So that is one of the reasons why that stewardship plan is on a shelf, not moving forward. So, and I'm sure Joe and I could have lots of boring arguments about this. It would make everybody's eyes spin, but I just wanted to address that. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. Next item on our agenda is new board member introduction. We did introduce Tom, but is there anything else that you would like to say, Alex, or Tom, that you would like to say to let us know who you are?
I am the president of the Newbury Hill Heritage Park Stewardship Group. I have some other affiliations with other groups, but I'm here just to help represent the Central Kitsap District.
Thank you and welcome to our board. So let's move on then to the meeting minutes. The discussion, this was left over from last month. The question was how we should record our public comments in our minutes. Would anybody care to comment or discuss that at this point? Linda?
So I can, oh, sorry. Lisa, did you want to go first?
Sure, I'll just make a comment. I think one way we could, we could summarize a little comment on our minutes, but maybe ask people that make a comment to have their comments written down, and then they submit their comment, and then it can be posted on the website under we could have kind of like the proposal I made a year ago. Have a page on the Kitsap County website that has a list of comments that people make on paper, and just people submit that. So it's like double proof of what was said, or, a summary and someone's actual comments. That's all.
Linda?
This is a difficult issue, and I used to be on the Paulsville City Council, and we went through around this issue several times. But I do think that that it's important to record at least a tidbit of what people are trying to say, and that's a fine art. So that's easier said than done. But for instance, at last month's meeting, where we had so many people, and we had different people than we had heard before. And I can understand, it just says Port Gamble on Port Gamble, comment on Port Gamble Heritage Park. But last month's meeting, you had a lot of the mountain bikers that showed up and had strong feelings and hadn't been heard from before. And so both the fact that, some people we hear from repeatedly, beginning of most meetings, end of most meetings, and other times people are going to show up once. I do think that, maybe it really is two sentences. And, I know you could argue about that, but I think it's important that at least carries the gist of their intent as best we can. For instance, the people that really say the mountain bikes scare me, and I think you need to have less mountain bikes use there, or a separated use. I know it really is a complicated thing, but I think somehow our minutes should try and reflect it. But I also feel pretty strongly that the county website shouldn't be the place where anybody that wants to have their opinions posted have, sort of a bulletin board for it. So, it's a fine line, but I do think that we need a little bit, but not a huge amount. And that's, it's a little messy.
Jessica?
I think when we talk about public comment, it's very important that we capture what the public is trying to tell us as a Parks Department, as an advisory board. I think it's important for us to listen to what the public says. And I think this discussion in no way, I just want to make sure that I say that we're not trying to argue that we don't want to capture what the public is saying. When, say, I miss a meeting, I will go and look at the video and watch the video so I can know what I missed. Now we're already capturing, I mean, that's the purpose of recording it, correct? We're already recording these comments. I feel like doing it again in the minutes when I was always taught with Robert's Rules of Order, the minutes are just capturing, like Don had said, just capturing what was done, not what was said. I mean, I always think, okay, when I speak, my comments are not being captured in the minutes, right? So, I just want to give that perspective, because you're right, it is a very complicated issue. How do we properly digest and be able to month after month after month, especially for those that are coming repeatedly and commenting those things. I guess my other question would be, okay, how long do the videos stay up there? Because if we're talking about recording the minutes, I mean, minutes, I'm assuming you can look back for a while. I guess that would be my other question is far back can we look, right? So, and what's the purpose of capturing those public comments other than for us as advisory board members, not necessarily for the other public, right? Public comment is for us, right? I mean, I'm just trying to work through this, so that's all I wanted to say.
Larry?
Okay, and I'm coming at this from a perspective of somebody who's got 29 years lobbying the Washington State Legislature and the U.S. Congress. So I may have a little bit of experience here, but we'll see. What happens in the Washington State Legislature for committee testimony and stuff like this is it's just the comments are distilled. The people who testify in favor and the people who testify opposed are captured, their names are, but they just distill the commentary that for on both sides of the issue for the bill report. And obviously this is a little bit different than doing a committee hearing and everything because the public comments are widely varied and everything, but possibly there and staff, I can send you some bill reports so you can get an idea on how it's done at the legislature, so you'll kind of get a picture of what it looks like. But possibly we could look at something like just capturing this issue was brought up in public comments by these people. This is the gist of what happened. And, put that there with a note at the end of the minutes saying minutes will be available. And also a note at the bottom in the minutes, the link to where they can find the recording so that for further research to get actual verbiage, refer to the recording link and how long, and with a drop dead date on that recording link. I don't know what the laws are on that. I can look it up next week. This week I'm stacked. But something of that nature and everything. I mean, the public comment distillation here for the March meeting. Of course, granted, we'd have had to logboard gamble completely and turn it all into paper to capture all that stuff. It's just a joke, folks. So this is rather problematic on that because the way we have been doing it is just bullet line items underneath each person's, something that something that happened was said in public comment. It was bulletized under that person's name. So Just noodling and thought processing here. I'm doing my Jessica here. You know, I'm thinking out loud, which is scary. But I don't believe verbatim capture of public comments in in the uh in the minutes is necessary. I think it's overkill and it's actually just burning bandwidth. Anyway, I will sit down and shut up.
Lisa?
Yeah, I just wanted to point out that I agree with Larry on distilling the points, but Jessica, I don't know if you know this, but we've only been recording these meetings for a month, you know, or a little maybe more than a month. So this is all new, and I agree about putting a little comment at the bottom where people can find those recordings, because that would answer pretty much everything. If someone could go and watch the meeting, if they're really wanting to see the meeting, then they can. So it's a good thing that we're doing this, and I think it's a big step in the right direction. But distilling the facts is, you know, an art, and whoever is doing that, it's a lot of pressure, I'm sure. So kudos to whoever is going to attempt it.
I just wanted to say, I think that the minutes have been posted online and they are, Alex, can you tell me it's for a year now, right? Or
We created a video library of the recorded meetings going back to July of 2022. So we have multiple years of every single meeting in totality going back that far. That's when we started recording them, and for a while we were only using the recordings to create the meeting minutes and drafting those for written. So for your consideration and continued conversation, know that we are recording, we do save those, and we do have that available through the Parks Advisory Board webpage through the Parks site. Lisa makes a good point. We can include language in the meeting minutes indicating where you can go find that video. We're missing that currently.
Larry?
Yeah, I think that would really be great, Alex, because no offense meant to park staff and county staff and everything, but it is not super intuitive. And the easier we can dumb it down to make sure that, you know, the people that we work for, i.e. the citizens of the county, can get to this information, I think the smoother it will make lives for y'all, and smoother it'll make operations in the parks. So, yeah. I know we're tasking the heck out of you on your first meeting, aren't we?
Anybody else would like to comment or make a motion about how we would like to see our minutes recorded going forward?
So I'd suggest a couple of things. Is that one, Dawn, having with all of us having attended remotely last time and you being down here holding the fort, I do think that with the amount of public comments that we've been getting, we probably ought to get one of those timers on the 3 minutes so that it doesn't, go on so long, and that there's something fair and impartial that you're not in charge of, that nobody can question. It's just there. That's pretty common. But I think that the middle ground on this is bullets, kind of the gist, like Larry said. I mean, maybe we need to just go around and see if we are, I know we have different opinions, but maybe we just kind of run through the board and see how the other board members feel about that, because we don't want to make it terribly difficult. I think it should be short, but I do think that when people come all the way down to attend the meeting or make the time to comment, they're kind of going to want to at least know whether they're pro or con. And, particularly the difference between the March minutes and the February minutes are pretty disparate, right? And I expect that all those people that showed up would like the commissioners, if they review this, or other elected officials that have more control than we do, that they know that there are also people who have showed up and who've come it down to say, you know, that they think that some of the things that are going on in the park are working, or that there aren't a lot of conflicts. So I think that it's important to have some reflection, but like I said, it is complicated.
Tom?
I'm concerned, most organizations I've been a member of, the modified Robert's Rules of Orders just involved recording who said something and whom they represented. They weren't an attempt to verbatim record what they said. And I would be worried about JC trying to like not keep, trying to figure out what were they speaking for or against. And some of the comments we've heard, just the four people who commented tonight were pretty involved. I would struggle to summarize those into one or two bullet points. And the fact that we have, as you said, the video, there's our transparency for the public right there. If the public wants that information, they can go to the website and see the video. So I'm personally in favor of just very short identification of who and their representative group. And then, like you said, refer to it at the bottom, go to the website to see this testimony.
Tom, I like you screwing in logic. You'll get that out of your system. But and I can agree with that. If we have a footnote at the bottom of the March minutes saying, here's where you can get to the video so you can go in detail on what the comments entailed, then the just the subject bullet points here on our draft minutes for March are great, as long as we make very sure that the recordings are available easily to the population. Then I would go with that. I agree with the idea that we just poll the board here and see what we think and everything, because I don't think we need to codify this into board law. It's we'll have it captured in the minutes in case they decide to go off the rails with the park staff.
Jessica?
Yeah, I would agree with that, because it would be really hard to try to summarize some of these public comments. And I guess my fear is that we try to summarize it and then somebody gets offended because we didn't summarize it correctly. We're not capturing what they were really trying to say. In this sort of format with the link, I think that would probably be a good way to, who that person is, who they're representing, or who they're speaking about, what they're speaking about. And then if somebody wants to dive in more, they can go into that, onto the website and check it out. So I agree with the guys.
Linda?
Just quick question, Alex, do you know what the commissioners are doing these days for their minutes? Is it just online, or how do they do the public comment?
I believe, I don't know off the top of my head. I'm not sure. Not looked at county commissioner board meeting minutes in quite some time.
Any other comments, questions?
Sounds to me like we have a consensus and we can move forward with our lives and everything. So
Okay.
at this point,
So what I'm hearing is that we liked the March minutes with the name and a brief what the topic was regarding, that we add video, a comment that how you can access the video link, and that moving forward, we would like our minutes to be similar to the March minutes. Does that sound reasonable? Everybody agree with what I said, or?
You said the March, oh, sorry, the March minute.
Go ahead, Lisa.
weren't the March minutes just like the comments were like Port Gamble, Port Gamble, Port Gamble? I thought we were gonna like give a little like, like Linda said, a little more description, not quite just, they talked about Port Gamble. Something else like they were pro Port Gamble Ride Park or pro dangerous bikers or something like that, and also putting the link at the bottom of the page. Was that what we agreed? I mean, is that what we all agreed to?
Is that what we were agreeing here? That's not what I was hearing,
No.
but
No, actually, what the recommendation was just like the bullet points, just like that are in the March 18th proposed minutes right now, with a link that will then take you to the recording. And my recommendation, by the way, would be where you put it in there is put the link in there right behind public comment before you put your bullets in there. So this way it sends them straight to it. It would be a very intuitive. I'm trying to think like a dumb redneck because that's what I do well. But that would be it, because I really don't want staff to have to translate. Because when we do get hot button issues in front of this board, there are a lot of very passionate, very lengthy comments and everything. So I think this is delightfully fine. I don't, because some of the comments you couldn't distill down to pro or con.
Right, okay.
They're basically where they would come in my legislative history, they would come in as concerns.
Okay.
So, I'm just trying to I think this is very against the rules, but I'm trying to make government smoother and more transparent. So, am I out of order already and being fired from the board for that?
no, I think we're doing a good job. We're trying to cover all the bases. Lisa?
Yeah,
Does
thank
that-
you for the clarification. That's great. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
So I'll probably vote no, but I'll probably vote no on this because I do think it's important to distill, but that life goes on, right? That's what voting is.
Do we want to get a motion out here just to get it cut and dried?
Yeah, I will make a motion that we record public comments in the future, going from today's meeting forward, in the same format that March meeting minutes are currently, with the name of the individual making the public comment and what organization they represent or what they're speaking about, and adding a link to the website, like Larry had suggested, right next to the public comment wording, so that people know exactly where to go to find the full, exactly what they said.
I will second that motion.
I have a question. So
Typically, typically with a motion, we don't have we have the discussion now. So
Oh, yeah, if Robert's rule says you discuss.
discussion now, yeah. I got out of order there. Thank you.
So Jessica mentioned the organization. And the organization, we've had a lot of KEC members. Last month, we had a lot of mountain bikers. Are we going to modify those March meetings to reflect organizations, or are we just saying, this one just says Marion Allen, comment on Buck Lake, I mean, it doesn't give the pro con or kind of what organization they are.
Larry?
My recommendation on that would be if the person making the comment identifies themselves as a member of Buckwheat's Remote Control Aircraft and Mountain Biking Association, then that would be captured. But if they just say they're speaking as a citizen, then there would be no need to capture any organization, just capture they made comments about whatever subject and then move forward.
Jessica?
Really good point, Linda. And actually, I think that would work out well, because if somebody is like we've seen a lot of the KEC coming or Mountain Bike Association coming to speak, even just saying that organization after that name, if you go back and look at those minutes, you're going to be able to see. I mean, if you're paying attention, you're going to know that the history of those, those organizations coming and speaking. That might be a good way to be able to. I agree with that. I don't know if I can modify the motion, but or if that or be able to, just modify these minutes to that. But yeah, adding that organization in there might, and then maybe comma, Poor Gambler, whatever they're speaking on. But if they, yeah, being able to capture that organization, I think would be a really good idea.
I think I agree with Larry. It's very important that we make sure the person has to say, I am representing XYZ. They can be a member, but may not be actually representing. I believe there was a mountain bike guy spoke last month that, said he was a member, but he wasn't representing. So, all right.
Oh, and
Oh, Lisa?
yeah, and I agree with you on that as well, because a lot of people that have even like spoken for KEC say, I am so-and-so and I am speaking as a citizen or on my own and have nothing to do with a group, because they're not representing the group, they're representing themselves. So, I think that's really important, to distinguish that when people are making a comment, like if they said they're in a group, then state the group. But if they don't, then they're not, and if, like Jessica said, if someone's observant and they go on, they could see, oh, this person is in that group because they're here all the time, but they're not really representing the group. So it can get kind of tricky if you start labeling people, because we can't do that. It's not right.
All right. Any other comments? Okay. I'm going to try to rephrase what Jessica said, and please correct me, Jessica, if I'm incorrect. That we would like to record the public comments the same format as we recorded the March public comment observation, whatever comments, and that we would like to add a link directing the public to the video at the beginning, right where we talk about these are the public comments. And I'm sorry I worded that too wordy, but
You did great.
Jessica had a better, you'll get the correct wording.
You did better than your predecessor would have done, trust me.
I did not include in there any comment different about adding any affiliates.
I think after we talked about it a little bit, I think it does get a little bit tricky because you're going to have to, there are a lot of people that come speaking on an organization where they're part of an organization, but speaking as their own, like not representing that. So that could get a little bit tricky as well. So I'm just going to stick with the original motion.
All right. Do you have your hand up again, Lisa? Okay. All right. I read the motion. Does anybody want me to try to restate it again? Okay. All those in favor of the motion, raise your right hand. That's tricky. I have 4, 5, 6, 7, so it's unanimous. The motion has passed. We will be recording public comment, similar format as the March meeting minutes. Now, let's move on to the February meeting minutes.
Madam Chair.
Oh, did I screw something up, Larry?
Oh. I would move that we adopt the February meeting minutes as written.
Linda,
Second.
any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Okay, unanimous. We have adopted the February meeting minutes. The March meeting minutes.
Madam Chair,
Larry,
I would move that we adopt the March meeting minutes as written.
Second.
seconded by Linda. Any comment? All right. All those in favor, raise your right hand. And it's unanimous. The March meeting minutes have passed as written. Thank you, everybody. I know this was long, but it was an important topic to cover. Moving on. Parks report. Alex, your turn.
Thanks, Don. So as we did last month, we don't have any special presentations or topics for you at today's meeting, but do want to go through and just draw some attention to a couple items in the director's report, which is kind of the overarching reflection on what's happened in the department in the last month, or longer in some cases, that we have projects that continue forward for a long time. First one on the list, I want to give a huge shout out and congratulations to the stewards at Newberry Hill Heritage Park, as well as the Friends of Newberry Hill. Both received awards just this past Monday from at the evening Board of County Commissioner meeting. For one was an Earth Day award for the stewards at Newberry Hill Heritage Park, and the other one that went to the Friends Group was a award through the state of Washington. It was the Washington State Volunteer Service Award. That went to the Friends Group that support the stewards, who do a bonkers amount of work in the park. So both to the Over the Hill gang, the Applesauce gang, for their individual and collective work, as well as the lead stewards in the park that lead other work parties from public volunteers and organizations doing a lot of work in the park. A big congratulations and thank you. Want to recognize the maintenance and operations team has done a lot of work in over the winter, the course of the winter months, leading up to the April 1 reopening of a good chunk of our parks and facilities. As you know, some of our parks and facilities are seasonal in the way that we manage them, and they get closed down when our visitation goes down. We lose our summer seasonals, and our maintenance shifts towards doing maintenance projects and upkeep when we don't have to do our busy summer servicing. Well, as of a few weeks ago, that changed, and we have put a lot of effort towards focusing on summer season preparation. Gates are open, bathrooms have been reopened, picnic shelters are now available for rent, and it was a ton of work by the maintenance team to get us here, as they do every year. But just recognizing parks are open and we are back in business. There's been some good work in the Natural Resources Division. The item on your report titled Forest Diversity Planting at Port Gamble Forest Heritage Park. This is in recognition of working with and being approached by Rainier, who has 10,000 Western red cedar seedlings that they offered to plant in the park to help improve the diversity of replanting areas that were clear cut by Rainier. The way that the contract works is we absolutely have this ability to partner, and the department is responsible for the difference in the cost between what it would cost to meet regular green up requirements for the DNR with standard plantings versus doing something different. This would definitely be doing something different. There is a cost associated. We have identified a funding source and we're working towards an agreement with Rainier to improve right from the get-go, at least in some areas, the replanting efforts. So it's not exactly perfect that, we'll end up with Western red cedars and Doug fir, but man, it's better than just a monoculture. So it's a step in the right direction, Linda.
This is such great news, and it's something that was envisioned by the people even before it was a park back in 2013, when a group of volunteers had decided, since the cost of the park was getting so out of reach, the values were going up, and there's no way we were going to get the fundraising to get all the land, and the decision was made to, support the idea of a clear cut. But that was a lot of that was a hard a hard thing to do. Nobody liked it. And the goal was to bring back a diverse forest with a mix of native vegetation. And this contract had allowed for, the Rainier is obligated to plant Doug firs, and they're frankly cheaper, and they survive pretty well because the deer don't munch them as quickly as some of the other ones. So this is wonderful news, because a lot of us have been worried that we want this park to not come back as a Doug fir monoculture. We really want it to come back eventually, and it'll take a lot of time and a lot of steps. So I think this is huge, and I know the park stewards and all those diverse volunteers are going to be really happy about this. Thank you.
Alex, a couple of questions. First off, because there will be cost incurred to the park system to have Rainier manpower doing this. Is there any possibility of stewards assisting to hold that cost down? And the other question is, with the new grant funding that's coming through from the budget line item for Port Gamble for purchasing of trees. Have you seen that?
Oh, yes,
Yes.
from state appropriations.
State appropriations, yes.
Yep.
I've been up since way too damn early.
Yep.
And
yep.
doing too much today. Okay. But have we do we have any idea when that's going to come through and how much that's going to affect? How big of an effect will we have there?
So the update on the state appropriations funding is our forest fund, local nonprofit, who had locally raised about $250,000 and then applied to the state of Washington to get appropriations funding of about $750,000 to collectively reach $1 million threshold. And use that funding as the jumping off point to begin new negotiations with Rainier to buy back timber rights and basically buy trees so that we get them before they are clear cut. That's the appropriations, of course, is still waiting on the governor's signature, right? Or is it signed?
I believe it has been signed. Don't hold me to that. That's I'm going to give you 2 degrees of separation, separate, subject to future and frequent revisions.
Yeah. Okay. So we are already, the county is in conversation with bringing Forterra back to help with those negotiations. And we don't have a contract in place yet, but we are working on what that language would look like. And once that has begun, then we will initiate conversations to see where we end. I don't know exactly what that timeline looks at this point. The contract's not yet completed. So.
Okay, just curious. I kind of wanted to get that, out on the table and everything.
Sure.
So it's in eyesight for people.
Yep. The other state appropriations funding, assuming it was all signed, that we received was $500,000 for South Kitsap Regional Park doing synthetic turf soccer fields. This would assist with planning efforts and probably a little bit on the construction front. Is definitely not going to cover construction, but we would look to sync that up with other capital funding for parks in the next couple of years to achieve. So two huge big wins through state appropriations funding to benefit Kitsap County Parks in very different ways.
Yeah, Alex, if I haven't gotten back to you by next Monday on status of those bills, hit me up, okay?
Okay.
My schedule from here through Sunday is just psychotic, so
I appreciate that.
yeah.
Yep. Okay, moving into the planning program. Gordon Park Master Plan is the largest project that we have currently underway. We, a couple weeks ago, held a workshop day. We had two workshops on a single day. And we currently have a community survey that is open through the end of the month, through April 30th. We have already received like 230 responses so far, and we continue to push out notices on that on a weekly basis. In April, we're also holding stakeholder interviews. We're doing pop-up tabling events on site here at Gordon Field, at the playground up at Castle Park, as well as at the disc golf course. And we have a couple other events that we are participating in an effort to draw attention to this master planning effort and get feedback, because this feedback is really what is going to help guide where we end up with the concept that will come out of the master plan process. So more to come on that. And there will be an invitation coming out soon. I'm not sure if Carmen sent it out already to the subcommittee of the PAB working in the planning area to participate, if you can, in an upcoming design charrette that will follow the public engagement, and then we'll be working on how do we put all these pieces together? What does that look like? And we'll be bringing in the sub-PAB for that, as well as the subcommittee of the Parks Advisory Board on a different topic for the capital projects, capital improvement program update. This is a rolling 6-year program that gets updated every single year. And we did a lot of work to evolve it last year, and we'll be looking to build on that process this year. So I'm not sure if Carmen sent out invites for that yet, but they are coming. We concluded a community engagement survey for Cola Cole Park recently. We are tabulating those responses. Those responses will lead into park development projects that will get folded into the capital improvement program update. So we don't have results on that, but they are getting tabulated and will be presented to you next month, along with the engagement results from Gordon Park as well. You will be hearing both of those topics next month. On the capital front, you all are well aware, the North Gateway Trailhead parking area at Port Gamble is opened. It just opened last Friday on the 10th, and we will be looking to host a celebratory event in the parking lot on May 2nd. Details to follow. We're still kind of developing what the program will look like, but invitations will come out to each of the Parks Advisory Board, as well as a ton of other community members, but hopefully by Friday. We're trying to get it cranking pretty quick. The scheduling of the date was really contingent on Commissioner Rolfus's schedule. So very threading the needle on her schedule is a challenge. But May 2nd is the day. And again, more to follow on that. The synthetic turf replacement project at the soccer field here on Gordon 1 closed on April 8th. We had a public bid process. We received 3 bids and working through the evaluation of those and then into contracting. So we are doing our darndest to get the synthetic turf field replaced with new synthetic turf by the end of July. So we're in a very tight time frame here. As you know, in August, the entire fairgrounds basically goes into prep mode for the Kitsap County Fair, or the County Fair and Stampede event, no longer our event. And we're trying to get it done on the front end of that because, man, the fall term use of soccer fields is extensive. So we want to make sure that we get it done before then. And the other item on South Kitsap Regional Park, we are also prepping to apply for a grant through RCO to supplement the state appropriations funding for the field development there. This would be a youth athletic facilities grant through RCO. The max amount that they give per project is $1.5 million. Regardless of what level of funding you receive, it does require a 50% match. The $500,000 we got from state appropriations can certainly be part of that, but we will also need to kick in additional capital funding from the Parks Department, from local funding as well. But super exciting opportunity to leverage public money to stretch those dollars further with grant funding. And that's all I have for you this evening.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Alex? I think it was very complete and thorough. Thank you. We have no subcommittee meeting announcements. There were none. District representative reports. Let's start with our online folks. Do either Lisa or Jen, do you have a Lisa?
Yeah. Well, looks like Jen has something to say. I'll let her talk first and I'll talk.
Okay.
Thanks, Lisa. Just a couple of comments. One, a little bit revisiting a point from earlier, but regarding joining online. I know for someone who is a working professional, it's really hard to sometimes join the meetings in person. You'll probably most often see me online. But I think I heard a sentiment last time in discussing the meeting minutes that it was almost as if we needed to wait for more people in person because somehow that attendance is more valid. So I just kind of wanted to push back on that assumption. And just state that, I'm pretty actively involved here listening online. I find it much easier actually to be able to reference things and look up things as I go as well. So I think it actually, in some cases, makes me a better participant for these meetings being online. I will love to join as often as I can in person, but with work sometimes lasting past 5 p.m., that can be difficult. So thanks for your patience. I did have an interesting conversation with the Kingston Youth Sports Association over this last month to hear about some of their user groups. Oh, and I'm getting a little bit of a frozen look from some of you. So hopefully the sound is still working. I'm going to go ahead and pause my video to make sure the sound is still going through.
Lisa, can you still hear Jen?
Yeah, I can still hear Jen.
Okay, we can hear you here.
Okay, great. I had an interesting discussion with the Kingston Youth Sports Association, hearing from them about some of their growing user groups, and their concerns about just the lack of field space for both games as well as practices in the North Kitsap district. They're often having to use fields located in the central Kitsap or near Silverdale for practices, or they're partnering with the schools and struggling to find time. So that's one of the limiting factors for being able to sign up more kids for programs like that is the lack of fields in North Kitsap. They also did have some interesting feedback for Colacole Park, but since the design or the survey will be released next month, I'll save any comments to see what comes out of the survey there. And then lastly, just wanted to thank the Parks Department for the North Gateway opening. Really exciting, especially for users maybe struggling with accessibility, because it does kind of spit you out at a higher elevation point of the park and a little bit easier to access some of those trails. So that's really great to see. And then I forgot one more comment from talking with the Kingston Parks, Trails, and Open Spaces Committee about a lot of the trail work parties that they've been conducting this quarter. There's definitely a feeling that they would be able to do more tasks and more types of tasks if there was a little bit more direct support from the county on some of those volunteer tasks and materials being provided. And I know the county is very short-staffed on that, so appreciate that it, of course, comes with its challenges. But just wanted to underscore that feeling from the Kingston Parks and Trails group. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa.
Yeah, I have a couple things. First thing I want to point out was my car got vandalized at the main Port Gamble Forest Heritage Park parking lot. And basically it was I have an e-car and it says e-cars kick gas. Well, some biker took an indelible ink marker, marked all over it and said, bikers kick gas, So anyway, it was a biker, obviously. And, again, it's just really, I thought, disrespectful. I'm thinking in my mind, well, how do you think that biker got to the parking lot? With a car, a gas car. So anyway, one thing I just wanted to point out that all bikers aren't exactly that friendly. And I wanted to ask questions about this new EMBA contract that was just approved. I guess I'm just really frustrated at the lack of transparency, it seems like, and the need for this expediency whenever anything comes concerning the ride park or the EMBA contracts. It's like all of the expediency seems to create a misrepresentation of the necessary environmental protection and facts. I believe, Alex, you spoke with Scott Diener in 21 about the wetlands and buffers in the ranger corridor, and Arno and the Wild and Fish and Conservancy the maps were never even mentioned in that conversation, I believe. But DCD did mention that to stay out of the wetland buffers. Now, we took Christine Rolfus, a group of us, up to the Ranger Corridor just, a month ago or so, and pointed out the wetland that's right next to that corridor, and that's Al Pacino and also Mycelium, which run parallel to that whole wetland corridor that runs down to the Springs Trail. And several people commented, I think 2 months ago, on the Springs Trail, as well as I did there as well. And that First Amendment to the ride park specifically addresses the realigning of trail segments to maximize the distance from sensitive aquatic features and wetlands. Also, the Ranger Corridor is supposed to use the 100-foot buffer from the edge of all wetlands. Now, as far as I can tell, these critical area ordinances are not even being adhered to because Al Pacino is well within that wetland buffer, as well as Mycelium and Springs Trail. So there's supposed to be a decommissioning of trails in the wetland buffers. And as far as I can tell with this new contract, it's business as usual. It's like the contract is reestablishing the existing trails, which one is right through the wetland buffers. And so again, the amount of money that you're getting or giving to these EMBA characters, it's like we had mentioned 2 months ago about Springs Trail and how all the bikes are just eroding that, existing fish-bearing stream. Where's the bridge? Where's the money for the bridge? Where's the plan for the bridge? There's no talk of that. No, let's fix Ranger Corridor so the bikers can continue to ride their trail. I just don't understand how they get such priority in that park. It baffles me. So that's my second comment, and I'm going to stop at that.
Thank you, Lisa. Are there any district reports from Jessica?
Yeah, I got to visit Banner Forest a few times in the last month and met some really nice folks in there. I did get some comments about some users about the map that is on the website, that as they were using the trails, the map was a little confusing. And so they ended up just going on to an app and using an app. So I don't really know a good solution to that, but they were commenting that some of the trails were unmarked and anyway, so just wanted to share that. But when we went with our kids, we did a scavenger hunt. And it was a very nice day out on the forest with family. I also wanted to say that South Kitsap Regional Park, I am so excited about this development for funding. Oh my gosh. I mean, I live very close to South Kitsap Regional Park. And to imagine that the lighting will hopefully improve at some point is phenomenal. I know that we've had a lot of vandalism happening, and so which is very unfortunate. But it's very nice to think that there's going to be some more lighting in there, and then turf. Like, oh my gosh. I do want to say the barriers that they put on the playground side, I think were put up because somebody was like driving on the grass with their car. But they seemed like they were put up very quickly and hastily because there's still like major divots in the grass where they had dug up to put the barriers in, but then did not replace the dirt. And so I think that should be something that I'll put it on the ClickPix or whatever it is, but that was something that was when we were doing our Easter egg hunt, community Easter egg hunt. That was something that was there was quite a bit of divots in the ground there. So just concerning safety wise for families and stuff running around, small kids and such. But the other thing I wanted to say was I did get really good comments from nonprofit who were using the parks, and working with Scott is phenomenal. Scott is really, really good to work with. He is always answers. He's very nice. He works with nonprofits and just the new fee schedule and all of that stuff. Very understanding. Just kudos to Scott and the team. So
Thank you. Anybody else have a comment? District?
No report from District 3.
All right. I was going to mention something about the trails, and you can correct me if I'm wrong on this, Alex. There are a lot of rogue trails in all of our parks, and while I think maybe some of our maps are not totally up to date, people also have to realize that they probably shouldn't be on all of those trails sometimes, but thank you. I think we are done. Larry.
No, I got nothing personally other than, yes, that app that they talk about there at Banner Forest, that's Maprica. And that the map that's on Maprica is a lot more user friendly than the paper map and everything. One of the neat things about it, and I don't get any money back from these people, so don't stop accusing me of being a kickback person, is that it will actually, you can track where you are So when you get out in the middle of where you think it's like you're hearing banjos and they're four string and out of tune, you can bring yourself up and see exactly where you are so you can escape. I've turned a lot of people onto that app in my day, because when you get a citizen out there that's so lost that they're happy to see me, but it really is an excellent app. And I'm done.
All right. Do I hear any motions? Oh, wait, we have public comment. Thank you. Thank you. Keeping me on track here. So I see we have somebody in the room. I'm going to start. Anybody here who would like public comment? Oh, right. Have to keep me on my toes. Thank you.
Yes. My name is Bradley Barry. I'm a IMBA character. Wanted to thank Alex, Linda, anybody else involved in the restoration project up there. The contract that got signed on Monday. It's just a partial, I get it, but we're hoping the north end gets added eventually since the new parking lot opened. Kind of rough having a new parking lot when all the trails there are closed, but we'll get there. It's a 6-month process it took to get this far. It wasn't quick. It took a lot of effort, so I appreciate it. And the meeting minutes. I know it was a lot from last week. It sounded like it kind of woke a beast a little bit. But those minutes is what spread that word. That's how those people got here. So to have them evaporate I know that's not what you guys are talking about, but some level of content in text to easily forward people is pretty beneficial to the commoner, being able to send stuff around. So again, I get it. My comment on that doesn't matter. It's just words for thought from people that's how I got here. Was someone sent me a list of some comments. And, it was just taking a public beating and didn't even know what was happening. So I had to come and say something. And I think that's all. Appreciate your time.
Brad, just for some clarification to you, by the way, on the public comments and everything, we did vote to what we're going to do moving forward from now on is they're just going to capture the name and the subject of the person in the minutes, but there will be a link that takes the person, will take you to the recording so you can actually hear the entire public comment. So, that's good. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, we only have so much bandwidth there, shipmate.
You'll have to take your own minutes. Is there anyone online? Okay, we have some people. Just a reminder, please announce your name and you have 3 minutes for your comment. Martha? Martha, are you there? Let's move on to the next person. Who? Carol? Carol, we're ready for you.
Sorry about that. My name is Carol Price. Yes, I am a member of KEC, a member of Kitsap County ACAC, and I'm a member of the Washington Sea Grant Crab Team and other groups. But I am speaking for myself only, as I always do at this meeting. Just wanted to be clear. I did want to second Beverly Parsons' earlier comment about balance at Port Gamble between human usage and nature. Nature is repeatedly treated as an afterthought, and I believe the Springs Trail going through the middle of a fish-bearing stream is a perfect example, but there are many others. I did have a request for Saturday's work party scheduled for the Bluff Trail at Port Gamble, and I'm not sure who to direct it to. The Bluff Trail is one of 2 pedestrian-only trails in the park. Certainly maintenance is needed because of the many downed trees on the trail, and that's deeply appreciated. But please leave the forest duff and leaf litter on the trails. Also avoid the use of the specialized weed eater that cuts a wide swath along each side of the trail. Please leave these as walking paths. Humble life like snails, slugs, fungi, and newly emerging native plants like the beautiful little star flowers would appreciate the consideration and TLC. Also, in a week after the work party, there is a BioBlitz scheduled for that area. So we would really appreciate if you would leave the wildlife. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol. Don?
Hi, it's Don Malott. I would be remiss if I didn't share a conversation I had recently with an equestrian who attempted to park at the Stottlemyre new parking lot and was not able to get through. It was a busy day. The area was not clearly marked. There were folks, she could not get through the loop and asked other users parking if they could move enough to let her go forward through. And some of them declined and left. She was left then to back her horse trailer, which is, unless you're an exceptionally skilled driver, is extremely time consuming and disruptive for other people parking because of the you have to wait for somebody to. Anyway, the point is that I would ask that we, as we're thinking about how we're doing on our parking areas, that we review how it's working for equestrian parking at the Stottlemyre parking area.
Thank you, Don. And Martha, are you still there?
Yes. Okay. I guess you can hear me now. So
Yes, we can hear
I
you.
just had a question about this contract that was recently signed because if maybe Alex could, when you read the scope, it seems to say that this is being done to restore these trails. What I'm wondering is, well, what happened to the trails that they need this restoration? And then it says that that these were affected by logging operations. What were the logging operations and what happened that now we have to have another contract just to restore these areas? It sounds strange. Let's put it that way. So I was wondering, what is the explanation for that? It's a question.
These are public comments, so normally we don't respond, but I would recommend you send a note to Alex unless Alex would like to respond now.
I can respond. The damage to the trails in the Ranger corridor, as well as the north end of the mountain bike ride park, were from the restorative selective thinning that the Parks Department led in 2025.
So it was the parks thinning operation that actually caused the damage. So was it necessary then for EMBA to hire EMBA to repair the damage?
Yes, we are restoring the trails to their previous condition. If you have other questions, Martha, I'm happy to take them offline.
Thank you.
All right. Did you have anything further for any other comments online? No. And looks like I'm now to the end of the agenda tonight. Oh, but I do have Larry raising his hand.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Larry.
I would like to take this opportunity to move that we adjourn.
And do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Linda. We have a motion and a second to adjourn. We are adjourned. Right? I can do that without, do I have to?
Technically, we have to vote.
Okay.
Yes, Robert's Rules of Order.
I'm going to look that one up. Okay.
Okay. Trust me.
I will. So all those in favor of adjourning? We look unanimous. Okay, we are adjourned now. Oh, thank you.